gear does matter, period. I'm so sick of this trend of like, gear doesn't matter. It's like, it absolutely matters.
In order to create 5-star meals, you got to have 5-star quality.
None of my clients know what a Sony FX3 is.
Right.
Nobody cares. All they care about, like you said, is the final product.
A client will remember you for not the equipment you brought, but the quality, the service that you delivered.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dynamic Range, episode 6. It's been a couple weeks, but we're back. Alfredo and I were both sick for a little bit, and we're here. So if you don't know, my name is Stephen Kawakami. I am the host of Dynamic Range. I run a video production company here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I am joined by my co-host, one of my best friends in life, Alfredo Briones, who also runs a video production company in Gainesville, Georgia. So welcome back, Fredo. Hope you're feeling better, bro.
Hope you feeling better. How are you feeling?
Bro, it's been a couple weeks. I'm feeling a lot better though. I can talk and I'm not coughing up mucus, which is great. So I'm thankful for that. And yeah, man, excited to hop back on the train and get things rolling again.
I think it's, for me at least, these past 3 weeks, I think I had COVID. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore, but I got sick. My wife got sick. We were both in bed, and yeah, it was a roller coaster. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Well, I'm glad we're back, man. I'm glad that we get to do this. I'm super glad that we're able to take a couple weeks off and not really like feel a lot of heat from it, you know? It's like we're not having to call a boss and say, hey, we need some PTO, or even, you know, just for this podcast, you know, it's not like we're having to report to some, you know, investors and saying like, why is this not up and things of that nature. So I'm just grateful that we get to do this.
I sometimes find it more challenging knowing that I don't have a boss because I'm in charge. And I think that can sometimes feel a little scary, especially when you're sick and you're running some things. Mm-hmm. There's some edits to, you know, revise, and you're kind of stuck. But at the same time, mentally for me, what at least happens when I even just take a day off, right? I'm battling. Mm-hmm. But that's what it comes with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one thing that I actually really loved about being sick, I wasn't like down for the count. I wasn't in bed. I wasn't throwing up. So it wasn't like I couldn't work, right? But it did force me to slow down because I couldn't move at my normal pace. I couldn't, you know, my mornings are rough. The first hour, I was just like hacking. And that really forced me to slow down and realize, okay, what do I actually need to get done today? What can I not do, or what cannot get done?
What's important and what's not important. Yeah, for sure.
Today. Right. And so that really helped me to kind of narrow my focus and to slow down. And so, yeah, man, it was like I got sick. And then the next week, my wife and I, we went down to Waco, Texas for the Magnolia celebration.
There you go.
Got to see one of my childhood favorite bands, Switchfoot, open for the one and only Forrest Frank. So that was cool, man. Just an awesome experience, bucket list for us, and went to go down there to celebrate Morgan's birthday coming up. And yeah, man,
it's awesome, man.
So it's like I said, it was just a lot of like time away from the business, but it was also, again, it's good needed. And it's healthy.
Absolutely
needed.
But yeah,
yes,
man. So
let's dive into today's topic, man.
What are we gonna talk about today? What's the question of the day?
The question of the day. I'm just gonna get right to it.
Yeah.
Does gear matter?
That's a good topic. I think I'll go just with a quick short answer, and then I'll let you dive a little bit deeper because I have a lot to unfold, but I want to hear from you specifically because I don't even think you've answered it even in our conversations. I think gear doesn't matter till it does. So you actually need specific equipment, specific tools, because I just actually had this conversation yesterday with someone, but it was on TikTok. And we're going back and forth.
You talking to a bot?
I think it was a bot, but we were going back and forth, and I think, it's not wrong. I think, at least for me in the position I'm in, if the project, let's just say hypothetically a $2,000 project, boom, there's specific equipment that's needed. Can you use the camera you have? Absolutely. But sometimes you need the Shure. Sometimes you need different set of tools. I'm going to go a little bit more, and I don't want to take it too far, but point is, I do think that it matters when you need it. I don't know if that made any sense. I'll come back to my thought because it went away, but I'll take it back for you, Steven.
Okay. I'll catch it. Yeah, gear does matter, period. I'm so sick of this trend of like, gear doesn't matter. It's like, it absolutely matters. And like you said, I feel like there is a point to where gear doesn't matter. If you're just starting, it doesn't matter. Just use your phone, use your, uncle's old camcorder, use whatever you have to get your hands onto just to get those reps. But once you start to learn the reps and the fundamentals, then you can start to dial in your style, and you can kind of narrow down on what you really want to do. And different projects call for different styles and different types of gear. But gear absolutely matters. I mean, I've got this new microphone because I wanted to talk directly into a microphone, not with it standing vertical, but like a true podcast microphone. The lenses that we're using, right? They're both super wide angle. Not many people have probably noticed this at all, but like, we wanted to have this specific type of look for our podcast that not many people are doing. And so yeah, gear does matter in that sense. But again, like, I'm just now getting back into golf. I say that very loosely, but I watch a lot of golf YouTube content. And for me, if I were to get fitted for new clubs, like, would that end up changing my overall score of over 100? No, not at all. Like, sure, it would help maybe in the long run, but like right now, with the way I'm hitting the ball and my swing and all that, it's not consistent enough to make a difference. But there's a guy named Bryson DeChambeau. He's one of the world's best golfers, and he's got this. I mean, his YouTube channel has just exploded. But he does all these challenges, like, hey, can I shoot under par with clubs from Goodwill? Hey, can I beat this golfer with only 3 different clubs? So like, he's doing this experiment of this age-old question: does gear matter?
Right.
And for a professional of Bryson's caliber, it absolutely matters, because everything he does is dialed into his grips, to his the stiffness in the shaft, to the loft of his irons, to all of those things go into play, because he is a professional, and everything he does is so calculated. And I think it's the same for video professionals and photographers. It's like, once you get set with certain things, you just get used to it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think it's okay to have an expectation for your production. I think it's there's a standard that we have to raise in order for us to meet that, right? At least for the they all coexist, right? The one side, I made a great example yesterday. Whenever I go to a 5-star restaurant, not that I go often, but whenever I do, I show up with the expectation of, what is the quality of the food, right? Is this good? Is this food good? When I taste it, and let's say it does meet that expectation, I've never once asked myself, or I've never even questioned the master chef, what tools did you use for this quality? You see what I'm saying? So I think for me, for our clients, whenever we bring all this equipment, sometimes less is more, right? Bringing too much equipment doesn't really do anything unless you know what you're doing. But can I guarantee you that the master chef in the back has an expectation for the tools he needs? Absolutely. In order to create 5-star meals, you got to have 5-star quality. You got to have 5-star tools. You got to have specific knives. I don't know much about being a chef. My mother-in-law's a chef. But again, there's things that take place in order for it to matter. It does matter, like you said, but
Right.
starting off,
Right.
it doesn't. One more last thing I want to say is I've seen people with an A6400 that can deliver better image than a FX3. So it can matter. Doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a disrespect if I quoted someone $2,000 for let's just say a full project. I'm not gonna get too specific, but I think it would be a disrespect if I just show up with an iPhone just because less is more. If I just show up to the shoot and expect the client, yeah, they're gonna trust me, but I think a client will remember you for not the equipment you brought, but the quality, the service that you delivered. But it all does come together in order to make that even happen. That's all I had to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you bring up a really good point of like showing up to set in the sense of, oh, you're just shooting on that little camera, right? I get that a lot with the FX3 because it's a smaller body camera. And especially if I have like my wide angle lens, which I have right now, I mean, it looks like a little point and shoot, honestly. But you know what we can make from that is just phenomenal. So sometimes, do you ever feel like you have to play the game of like, hey, I need to rig my camera out to kind of prove a point? Do you ever feel that pressure?
I used to, but not anymore. Because I've noticed people remember me for the service that I gave. And I think back maybe a couple of years, yeah, let's rig it out. Let's fake it till you make it. But no, I think people do pay attention to those things. However, you know, I've noticed when I rig out my camera, what is that thing? And it's just a Rode fuzzy microphone. The dead cat's on top of it, right? And they're like, "What is that thing?"
Right.
And I think people pay attention for sure, but if the quality is just not there, then it doesn't matter. I was gonna say one more thing. Let me ask you this. Because sometimes people get caught up with the new flashy things, right? The new camera, the 2025, the new Nikon, the Canon. Now that, you know, that's the thing right now.
Yep.
Sometimes we oversaturate our purchases. We don't need some of the things we buy. We're not even in position to buy maybe long term at the moment. So why should you rent versus buy, or when should you rent versus buying?
That's a great question, man. I think in order to purchase, this is just me, I want to be sure that I'm purchasing gear that I can afford, one. And then that means there's money in the bank account to actually pay for it, not charge it to a credit card and say, oh, I'll get, because I have this new camera, because I have this new laptop, then I'll be able to get new clients. You know, don't fall into that trap of like clients are going to pay more money because now all of a sudden you have new gear when nobody knows. None of my clients know what a Sony FX3 is. Right. Nobody knows that there's an FX2 out. Nobody cares. All they care about, like you said, is the final product. Hey, did you deliver on what we agreed to? And did it go above my standards? You know, did it go above my expectations? And so that's all clients care about. And so for me, I'm very careful to buy gear. I do a ton of research. I do a ton of YouTube reviews and making sure that I know, like, hey, this big purchase is actually going to go and it's actually going to help my business grow. And honestly, for me, I don't really ever rent gear. Sometimes I'll borrow gear because I have certain connections in the area that are able to help me get what I need, like for weddings. Honestly, like I'm having to borrow another camera to help me shoot. So as far as renting gear, unless you're going for a very highly specialized look, in my experience, I've just never rented that much gear. Now, I will say, when we traveled to Israel, shooting with Pastor, we would rent gear there in Israel instead of taking all of our gear away from the church.
It would have been a lot more expensive
for 10 days. Right. Because then that would have cost the other teams at the church, the other 3 teams who use that gear, it would have cost them 10 days of production. So what we did, it saved us on travel. It saved us on, checking an extra bag. And it also gave us a little bit more convenience there, and also a little bit higher end quality gear. The newest of the new was there in Israel that we were able to pick up. And then 2, with that, we were able to build relationships there on the ground in Jerusalem, which is really cool. So there are times like where we have rented before, and most of that is due to travel restrictions. So that's just been my experience in renting gear versus buying gear, especially when it comes to camera stuff. Now we have a shoot coming up in January for this big music video where we're going to rent a 1/2-ton grip truck. So we're going to rent lights, a lot of lights, to light up an entire gym. So it's like, in that case, I'm not going to go and buy the new Aperture Storm, 600, 1200, 400X, all those things. I'm not going to spend $20,000 in lights for one shoot, and that's not even the entire budget of the music video.
It's unrealistic and irresponsible, for sure.
Right. So you have to look at the scope of the project, what the project needs, right? What does this project absolutely need to happen? It's like, we need to light up an entire gym. I don't have the lights to do that, but I know this company who does, and I can rent this, for X amount of dollars. And that's really going to help us in the long run to get the production done. So look at what the project needs. And if you don't have it, okay, who around me may have that I have a relationship with, that may be able to, I can borrow from for free, or maybe, rent for pretty cheap, or what production houses are near me that I can actually just straight up rent from.
That's a valid point.
So
yeah, I don't think
there's one more thing too. I did rent the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K when it first came out, because I thought that was the go-to camera. I thought, man, this is it. If I could just get my hands on this Blackmagic 4K Pocket Cinema camera, then it'd be a game changer, right?
Was it a game changer?
And then what I found out was that thing was big. It was clunky. The battery life was horrible. I rented the wrong adapter, Metabones adapter. So my 18 to 35 millimeter lens was vignetted because I got the speed booster adapter that, I don't know, made it wider. So anyway, long story, but I did rent that to see, like, okay, am I going to make this $2,000 purchase? It's like, let me spend $200 to rent it for the weekend and shoot a test project and see if I really like it in order to purchase it. So there are instances like that that I have done to see, okay, is this worth the money that I'm going to spend?
That's valid. I'm in the same boat. It takes me a long time to even just buy a camera, just because I need to understand the totality of it, because it would be, again, going back, irresponsible of me. I got a family as well, to just buy the newest thing because just because it makes sense in my own mind, or whatever I believe this is it. This is gonna change everything. And what I've come to learn, what separated me from even just being in this business, is that while everybody's buying the flashy camera, I took the time to buy the most updated computer I can get. I got an M2 Max Pro chip. It still works flawlessly. I've never had issues with it. It cost me a bit, but you see, at that time, I wanted the newest camera, but the camera is not going to be able to compete or just catch up with the computer that I had, the Dell, the XPS. So,
the XPS 15,
bro, it's a nightmare.
Man,
nightmare.
Let's talk about that, dude.
Let's talk about it,
because me and you, we both had the same laptop.
We thought it was going to change our life.
And this was back 2019, 2020, when that kind of came out as like almost like the MacBook killer. That was when the MacBook still had the touch bar, so it was like there's a lot of uproar in the creative community of like, okay, should we stay with Mac or should we switch to PC or yada yada yada. And so yeah, so I think you got it first, and you said it was great. I got it. I loved it. It was phenomenal until it wasn't. Until my multi-cameras for my weddings were just chugging. I was trying to edit and I'd hit spacebar on the keyboard to play the multicam.
3 business days later.
For real. It was like 5 minutes later, then it would start playing. I'm like, what in the world? I can't edit. And so then instead of adding to my life and adding value to my company, it was costing me time. It was costing me my mental energy.
Right.
And costing me a lot of stress, honestly, because it was like so frustrating. And so then it's like, okay, at what point does the pain of the problem outweigh the pain of money leaving the bank account to make your workflow better? And you bring up such a good point, man. It's just like, yeah, you can get all the newest camera gear, you can get all the newest lenses and everything like that, but if your computer can't handle it, then what's it for? What good is it for? If your computer can't process the new 8K raw files that come from the new Canon C50,
yeah,
then what point? Then it really you're working in vain. You're buying that camera in vain because it just doesn't work with your workflow. And so like for me, I got the M1 MacBook Pro. And again, like dude, it was at that point was the biggest purchase I've ever made. But I'm still using it 4 years later, really without any hiccups, and it's going great. And so that completely changed my workflow. It changed the way I talk to them and communicate with my clients because I can use iMessage now, so I can send files back and forth a lot quicker than doing email and Google Drive links and all that kind of stuff. So this piece of gear has really changed my business. My camera has really changed my business because I'm able to shoot everything on it. From family videos to, I could shoot a Netflix documentary if I wanted to, but it can do it all. So, your computer is so important.
It's definitely a blessing being able to have no limitations to your creativity because you're just able to scroll through that. And yeah, like you said, no lag. That fan was really loud. I don't miss it.
Oh, dude, and it got so hot.
You gotta
put it on my lap. Put it on my lap to work. And dude, my legs be burning. I'm like, man, this is not good.
That was
the battery life.
Yeah,
you have to work with it plugged in. Yeah, dude. So I remember like working on my laptop on my new MacBook, and I was just like, man, this is nice. It's fast. It's quiet. It's not hot.
I think we're both very similar in that. Again, like I don't care that it's an Apple. I don't care about the logo itself. I have a Mac. I think it has. If the Dell were to perform like this Mac, you would see me at the Dell because I need what's convenient. But I pull out my phone because I wanted to ask you. It all connects with this. But someone had asked me, what's a good Sony camera for beginners? Or maybe just a camera for a beginner, right? It doesn't have to be Sony. Because right now, the Canons, the Nikons, and then you got Panasonic killing it. Fun fact, people don't know this, but Panasonic sensor comes from Sony.
I think Canons do too.
And Canons and your iPhone comes from Sony. Now, do they tweak it, do some changes on it? Of course, because it can't look the same, but it does derive from Sony. Just wanted to say that. But I'm not a Sony fanboy. I just think I'm too invested into it. I can't get out.
You just shoot on Sony.
I can't get out.
You're in the ecosystem.
I'm in the ecosystem, but yeah.
But no, yeah. But you bring up a great point. Like, what ecosystem do you want to be involved in?
It matters.
Right? Because Canon, it does. Because Canon was the go-to, and then the A7S III came out, and then everybody was jumping ship over to Sony. But the thing with Canon is they just redid their mount system to the RF mount for their lenses. And now all of a sudden to get a new Canon lens, it's like, bro, one, it's a tank.
Yeah.
It's They're big and heavy. I'm speaking in general terms.
I got a
'Cause
few
I don't
friends.
shoot on Canon, so I don't know specifically. But I do have friends. I do shoot a lot of weddings with photographers who have the massive 95 millimeter thread on their Canon RF lens. I'm just like, oh my goodness, how do you carry that around all day? But that does matter. Okay, what third party manufacturers are making lenses for your camera system? And so if you want to look at it long term, like, okay, maybe your first camera, the very first starter camera, doesn't necessarily matter what brand it is. But once you start buying lenses, that's when you need to start really thinking, okay, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And you may not even know yet, and that's totally fine. But for me, like, I just look at, again, like, we're on the same page. Like, if Canon were to come out with a banger camera that doesn't like eat through data, that, you know, we're able to have great lens choices and great frame rates and all that stuff, then sure, I might switch. But it's the fact of, okay, what ecosystem do I want to be involved with? And for me, it's Sony, because of the smaller file sizes, the great quality, and the lens choices. And also, I just know, like, from the ground up, there's a lot of different choices, and they're always innovating, they're always tweaking, they're always coming out with new things. And so, but yeah, I think a beginner camera for a Sony, you might be better off to speak with this because you have the 6000 series.
Yeah.
I've only used it a couple of times. So I know that's a great choice. The ZV series is also a great choice.
The 6700
we got the ZV.
It's a solid camera. Yeah. You were saying something.
And I tell people all the time, it's like, hey, if you're in with the way technology is right now in 2025, about to be 2026, no matter what budget range you're at, whatever bracket you're at, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, whatever your bracket you're in, you're going to find that most of the cameras in that bracket range are honestly almost the same.
Absolutely.
And so it really just depends on your budget, and also depends on what you want to do, what kind of work you want to put out. Are you wanting to invest in lenses also? If not, then maybe just get like the ZV.
The ZV1, or are you talking about the E1? Yep.
The one that has the fixed lens on it.
I know what you're talking about.
That you know, it's like the straight point and shoot.
I think it's ZV-E1.
Yeah. And the E10 has the interchangeable lens mount, I think. So that to me, I would probably say get something with an interchangeable lens. That way, if you want to get a 9mm and be like super wide, you can do that. Or if you want to get like a 7-200 and be really tight, you can do that. That would be my suggestion.
Look, I started off, my first camera was a Nikon D5300. I did some of my best work with it, or at least I thought. I think it was good work. But for those that maybe are wondering, how, first of all, regardless of what camera you buy, even like Steven was saying, if it's a 500 budget, 1,000 budget, that's just the starting price. You still have to attach things to it to make it or enhance it. So let's just say budget was 1,000. All you're gonna get with 1,000 is probably this, but you still need the NDs. You need the audio, at least to give it a better look. But me personally, if my budget was 1,000, I still won't do the iPhone thing, just because I want to get in that space. I want to get the, you know, like Steven was saying, I need a fixed camera, fixed lens, because I want to be able to learn the settings, even if I don't have no idea about manual shooting, but I'm already set to a good place. And so,
yeah.
What is this at right now? I think it's at 800. I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
The 6400.
67?
No, this is the
6400?
This is the 64. I think that right now you could get one at 800. But even let's just say we're in 2020. What year is this? 2025. I got you. Right now, the A7 III full frame. That's still a solid camera. You could get that for about 1,000. If I'm not mistaken, 1,000, 100. Someone fact check me. I didn't look back, but I think there's ways to.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. So while Steven looks it up, I will say this.
That's 2,000.
For the 7?
Bro, Walmart's got it. A7 III, Walmart's got it for 1,400.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, there's definitely room for you if you want to get into that. But you got to be willing to. Easily, you're going to spend 1,000. I think under 500, it's almost impossible to find something pretty solid. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think a trick is if you don't have $1,000, or maybe you have $1,000, but you want to like get really quality, really good professional gear, use what you have. Like kind of what we started out with is, do you have a smartphone? Okay, max out your ability on the smartphone to start charging, whether it's a nonprofit down the street or a church event or maybe a big birthday party or somebody's small wedding or some other small business in town, like a coffee shop or some other thing like that, and say, hey, I'm working on this. I'm saving up to buy my first camera and I'm really good with my phone. Can I do a quick, 15-second reel for you? And would you, could you pay me, say, $100, $200 for this? And then you kill it, you crush it, you come up with creative ideas, you work with these people, you communicate well, you deliver fast, and you deliver a great product. And then you can start building up that way. And then all of a sudden you do 4 or 5 of those, then you have another $1,000 in the bank. So now your budget isn't just $1,000, now it's $2,000. And you kind of rinse and repeat over the course of, 3, 4, 5 months. And then all of a sudden, now you're learning how to shoot better, you're learning how to communicate, you're learning how to deliver your deliverables on time with great quality, you're learning how to edit better.
How to color.
All without spending, how to color grade, all without spending that initial money to buy a new camera. So you're building more of those soft skills that you need in business to be able to use those soft skills to leverage to get you more money, to get you the nicer gear, to then make higher quality content.
You're going to be, in order to separate yourself, it's going to go back to lenses. Lenses is what's going to matter the most, in my opinion.
200%.
But
yep.
You see, I started off with Sony's quote unquote horrible colors, but I got really good at it. It was so bad that I had to learn how to get good at it because that's just what came with it. And I knew Sony was gonna eventually get the colors right, but yeah, it was a
color science, man. That was such a hot topic back in the day.
It was, but I don't even think that matters if you know how to color. But I was gonna say as well, what doesn't matter, at least for me, or what do you think? Are you big on open gate? Everyone's just on this big hype about this camera doesn't have open gate.
Yeah, and for those who may not know, like open gate is just basically the camera using its full sensor readout. So a lot of times cameras have this 4x3 kind of like old school TV sensor that's more of like it's still
like a 1920. Yeah, just regular television.
Yeah, old school TV, to where, for filmmakers now and content creators, really, it's OpenGate allows for you to record in that full 4x3 sensor, to where you can crop in vertical and horizontal more seamlessly than regular 16:9, which is more horizontal, and then cropping into that to create vertical content is a little bit of a pain. So OpenGate, like, do I want OpenGate? Absolutely. Because a lot of my clients, even if my personal deliverables are in the 16:9, the horizontal, like they still want social deliverables, and I still want to post on social in the native format, the vertical. So yeah, is OpenGate, would it be nice? 100%. But is it worth switching all of my camera gear around and lenses? No, absolutely not. Would I pay, say, I guess would you pay, say Sony were to come out with a firmware update, and they put it behind a paywall for $1,000? Because right, like our FX series cameras, you can shoot photos 4x3, right, but you can't shoot video 4x3. So like it's there, the sensor's there, but like, would you pay $1,000 to unlock OpenGate on your Sony cameras?
That's good. For those that don't know, I recently bought a FX2, and it wasn't the camera that I wanted, but it's the camera that I needed, at least in the position I'm in right now, because yeah, the sensor itself, right? It has the 33 megapixels. Do I have a photo camera? Of course. But in order for me, there's been at least situations where I lose an opportunity because you see, I have the S3, and yeah, I could take photos on it, but having the ability to just on and off switch, because I do, at least in the position I'm in, I do photo and video. There's a lot of moments where, hey, can you get some photos of this? Sure, but you're gonna get 12 megapixels because I don't have that with me. And so, am I still bringing both cameras? Of course, but I think there's moments where I just bring my FX2, got the video, got the photos, get it done, high quality photos, and I bring lighting either way. So I personally don't need 12,800, at least for the FX2. Yes. In 2025, for me, it didn't make sense to buy an FX3 because I know the FX3 Mark II is coming out soon, and I need
soon and very soon. Come on, Sony.
Yeah, I don't know when, but it's coming soon. I know there is rumors on the 7.5, but that's a different conversation. But the Mark,
no man knows the day or the hour.
No, seriously, the Mark II. That's what I'm waiting on, because I want to be able to. If I purchase the FX3 in 2025, is it still valid? Absolutely, people are still buying it. I think it's a really solid camera. But I need to be a bit more, I guess, ahead once I do get this purchase, because it's still a big purchase. The FX2 was a big purchase, but I at least know I have everything I need right now. But let's say in 2027, the FX3, yeah, it's still a solid camera, but it would be nice because I have a feeling the FX3 Mark II is going to have a ND filter in it. I don't know why, but I have a feeling. I'm going to go back to this video if it does happen. But point is, it just depends on the position you're in. But for me, yeah, FX2 or FX3 Mark II is what I'm really waiting on.
Yeah. Let me grab something real quick.
You're good. While Steven grabs that.
You talked about.
Yeah, what you bringing? I was about to grab my lens too.
You talked about lenses. This right here, the Helios 44-2. This is an old Russian lens that was really, it taken over the market back in 2019. Everybody was talking about it. It's a 58 millimeter lens, so it's pretty tight.
It's a manual lens,
It's got a
right?
weird mount. It's a manual focus. Yeah, manual focus and also manual exposure. So you change the aperture on the ring, declicked. So Sony, you're not new in this declicked aperture thing. And also, the big focus throw, which is super nice. So this is a very specialized lens. It's called like the bokeh king. It's got the swirly bokeh in the background. So if you get an image where the subject is probably 3 to 5 feet away from you, and you focus on that subject, and you've got like a lot of depth in the back, dude, the bokeh is just like swirling around him. It looks so cool. And so this is honestly one of my favorite lenses to use but it's so specialized that I don't use it very often. But this was the only lens that I took when we went to New York, and this was the only lens that I took when we went to Texas. And because of this lens, I was able to take it in to the concert to shoot, to record some footage of Switchfoot and Forrest Frank. Whereas because it's smaller, whereas my 7200 and definitely they're not 7200 by 24-70, they wouldn't have allowed in the show. So I was able to take this again, my $4,000 camera and this $100 lens, but this very professional setup to record some shots of these awesome bands. So yeah, it's like super incognito, but the image is phenomenal. And in fact, when I did my New York, when I made a reel from New York, I had a local photographer, and he also does branding and everything. He reached out. He's like, "Hey man, I love your style. Can you come shoot? I want to use you to rebrand my personal brand. I love the retro look. I love the look that you have." And that was because of this lens, right? So when you pose the question, does gear matter? Absolutely it matters. I'm going for a specialized look. I want like the retro. I want the bloomy highlights. I want the low contrast, a little bit more of a green tint. It's right here. The swirly bokeh. You know, it's not perfect. There's going to be flares everywhere. You know, if you shoot into the sun, it just blows out. So it's like there are things and qualities about this lens that I absolutely love and things that I absolutely hate. But the pros far outweigh the cons. And so again, like I was able to gain a client using this lens only. So,
and you had less equipment too, and you made the most out of it. I think that also connected, because I think I said this 2 episodes ago, but I was in Mexico for an entire year, and the only lens I had was an 85, an 85 millimeter.
Man, that's tough.
That it was tough. It was a lot of long distance. Yeah, I couldn't, and it's simply because business was still happening back in Gainesville. So that's all I had. But if I show you some of the photos that I got to put together, I had my Sony A7R2. I think that was released in 2014. But I got so much
10-year-old camera.
Yeah, I got so much done with it. The colors, everything I did, I can show you some of those photos. But some of my best work was with that position that I was in, because I think sometimes less is more. And then I want to ask this 21 that's watching, for our 3 viewers, let me ask y'all this question. Do you still find yourself shooting in manual mode, or do you just fully rely on the autofocus? Because I still have a habit. You brought up the manual focus lens, and I still have a habit. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm working too harder than I need to, but I'm so used to shooting manual that most of the time I turn it off. I turn off the autofocus, because I got used to it. And right now I'm kind of in that, like, for example, the FX2 has that AI chip focus that it is insane. It loses no track. But I still have, maybe it's just a control freak in me that I want to still, but yeah. Do you shoot manual or do you shoot in auto, or maybe both? But
I mostly shoot autofocus.
Yeah.
But right now, like this 9mm lens is a manual focus.
Okay.
The Helios is a manual focus. But if I'm shooting on my 24-70, I probably 90% of the time I'm in autofocus. The times where I'm not is like when I'm shooting in crowds, say at a wedding reception, because there's so many faces to pick up on, so it's just like, it's hard to just tap on the screen and say, focus on that face, and there's 100 other faces around. And sometimes if I want to get like a specific look, or if I'm doing like a time lapse, like a hyperlapse or something like that, or a slow shutter, then I'll have to throw it into manual, because I don't want the focus hunt, to happen, because there's not as many frames picking up to have the solid autofocus.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that focus breathing, just because sometimes it does interfere with a specific shot. Someone just walks in and then it just goes into that.
Just like,
and I'm like, oh, I missed it. I can't make them redo that.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to leave on was I grabbed this lens off my shelf super last minute to take to Texas. If you notice, there's something missing on the top that I did not notice was missing until I pulled it out of my bag in Austin to film my wife. We rented a Ford Bronco, and I wanted to get her reaction. And then I, in the bright Texas sun, realized forgot my ND. And bro, I was so distraught. I was just like, oh no, this whole week is just ruined now. And I was like,
What'd you end up doing?
Looking up on, I was looking up on Morgan's phone. I was like, all right, like surely Best Buy has NDs, or maybe Walmart has NDs at this point. But like, dude, nobody had NDs in stock. So what I did, I broke a cardinal rule. I cranked the shutter speed.
F11.
I was shooting. Dude, I didn't want to shoot. I didn't want to stop down on my aperture because I still wanted the bokeh.
Okay.
Right? I still wanted to have that shallow depth of field.
The shutter
So I
speed.
knew that was locked down. And then so I cranked my shutter speed, bro. I was shooting, I think I looked down at one point, I was shooting 1/5000 for video at 24 frames a second. So it's not like I was shooting 60 or 120 frames where it's like supposed to be really smooth like that. But what I found when I went to edit, I threw in this 35 or maybe like a 60 mil like matte box over it. And dude, it added to that feel of the nostalgic feel, because I think I haven't looked into this, but I think like back in the day, that's how they used to control exposure, because film came in, the ISO range, right? So, you have a 400 film, so you're stuck at the ISO of 400. So if you're shooting outside, like you'd have to crank the shutter speed to make the exposure work. And so it has like that very smooth feeling to it,
right,
that maybe I noticed because I edited and I knew I shot in slow shutter speed. But I think it added to like that nostalgic feel of like film, because it was a cranked shutter and everything. The motion was a little bit, it was like a little bit smoother yet choppy at the same time, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but for me, it gave off more of an authentic film feel. Good. Because I cranked my shutter speed. So it's like I didn't have the gear. I literally did not pull out my camera for the first day because I was just like, it needs to be this and it needs to be that. Okay, now I can only shoot at blue hour because of the app. It's all this stuff I was making up in my head. And the next day it's like, you know what? I'm here. We're gonna shoot. I'm gonna make the most of it. And so I did.
I have a very similar situation I finalized with this. When I was in Monterrey, I had a music video that I was filming. But I wanted to I told the guy, we need to film early. I'm talking about 7 a.m. because I needed that wiggle room with the lighting. He was running late, and he doesn't live in Monterrey. He actually lives in Gainesville, but he went to Monterrey to go get that film, which was awesome. But shout out to Christian. But so no ND filter. I got an 85. To be honest, well, actually, yeah, I had it. I think it did. Yeah, I had an 8,000 shutter speed as well. But what I've come to find out, what I do sometimes is, especially when I have no ND, it's such a pain. When I realize I did not bring, that's such a painful feeling. I'm like, dang it. But I'll shoot 120. Well, if it's possible, right? But I'll do 120, 4K, and then I'll just crank up the aperture and try to keep it in that. But you're wild for trying 24 frames, no ND. You made it work. I saw the video. I mean, Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like exposure. And then again, like we stress over so much stuff as filmmakers, as content creators. We stress over the like very minute things. But at the end of the day, what are you delivering? I could have sat back and said, you know what? All right, I'll just use Morgan's phone to film this. It's like, no, man, I brought my Sony FX3
Yep.
and my Helios because I wanted to capture this specific type of content.
This moment.
So let's push through what we need to push through and make it happen and then deliver something. I just want to give myself the chance to deliver, right? I want to step up to the plate. I don't want to be sitting on the bench, scared because I didn't have my right cleats on today. Just like, who cares? Like, just get out there in your tennis shoes and like, just go swing. So that's kind of where I was in Texas. And so just an encouragement to everybody out there. Like, yes, gear matters. Would have had been nicer to have an ND filter to have the proper exposure and shutter speed, 1,000,000%. But to the audience out there, to everybody who viewed those reels, did they care or did they know? Probably not at all. And so, yeah, so, again, gear does matter. But at the end of the day, if you feel like you cannot capture what you need to capture because you don't have a certain piece of equipment, then I think you're in the wrong, and you have to adjust what you need to be able to capture what you need. So I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a great.
If not having the perfect gear is causing you not to get out and shoot, then yeah, just get out there.
Hit record.
Go play.
That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Tell a good story.
Hit record.
But
100%. 100%. Sweet.
All
right, bro. Well, it's time to get ready for school.
It's time to get ready. Take out the dogs for me.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So.
Alfredo, love you, man. Thanks for bringing the topic to the table. I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about our next one. I'm excited about, continuing this whole journey of dynamic range. So, but yeah, if you're made it to the end, welcome to the end. Welcome to the finish line. Thank you for hanging on. I hope that this was beneficial to you. Hopefully you picked up a few things that would help you in your creative entrepreneurial journey of gear, buying gear, acquiring gear. Does it matter? Yes. Does it matter? No. Okay, good. Glad we cleared that up. And so if you like what you see here, I have a list, my podcast set up in the link below. So if you want to, look at this light or my camera or lens or microphone, you can do that there. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward so much to our next episode, which we'll talk about something else that we're going to discuss about offline, right, Fredo?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I'm going to land the plane. We're getting out of here. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging on. We'll see you in the next one.
We appreciate you guys.
Peace.
Peace.